What's going on, guys? We are back out here today with my 1990 Civic Si. For those of you that may be watching one of my videos for the first time, this is a car that I tracked in 2018 and 2019 before it started knocking. I haven't worked on it since. It's been sitting for over 3 years and about 3 months now. I've kind of removed some parts here and there, but I've kept it just thinking I might potentially work on it, get it running again. And it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. I have a bunch of videos. I'm going to link them up here in the corner of this car on track. I had originally a 90 Civic DX that was black. We called it the Black Dragon. That had all the parts on that car, and I swapped them to this shell in the beginning of 2018. And I wanted to use this for my track car. But today starts the rebuild of it, and it's not for me. I am going to sell this to one of my closest friends, a guy that's been a friend of mine for about 21 years now, really close friend that had mentioned to me he wanted a car that he could take out to the track also and have some fun with. He wanted to learn what it was like to drive out there, and he likes watching our videos and wants to be part of that scene. So we're gonna put this back together for him. Now, it's not gonna be B20 swapped. I have the very back over there, a single cam ZC that the car came with when I brought it home. It was, that motor that we had, the ZC, was put into a friend's CRX. We changed everything brand new, all new seals and gaskets, a new exiting clutch, timing belt, water pump, plugs, you name it. It's a set motor, just needs to be cleaned up. I told them it'd be perfect for this, and you don't need as much power since you're going to be learning. We can always go to something like an LS swap or Doc VTEC in the future. But we're going to start with that just because of cost, and it'll make it a lot easier to get this thing up and running again. And as you can see, this thing is super dusty. I've taken the header off already. I removed the traction bar, and that one I have set aside. I'm going to put on my CRX next. Borrowed the booster for the CRX just about a month ago. But we're going to clean it up in here, remove the motor. I'm going to keep the cams, all the B-series parts. I'm going to keep all that. I have the spare LS here that I could move those to if I want to build another LS/B20 engine. And I really loved the way that this engine had felt. If you're curious what happened at the track, these two bolts for the fuel pressure regulator backed out. So I lost fuel pressure, car ran lean, and it just started knocking. I don't know to what extent. It still would run, but the knocking was pretty heavily, sounded ugly. So that was the end of this motor, just for those two little bolts. But really, really fun setup that was in here. It has a B16 LSD transmission, and just some innovative mounts. So the conies that I have on here with the 550 and 500 spring rate shocks, I had swapped out the max speeder rods because I wasn't sure if I was just going to sell this car to some random. But he's going to actually keep the conies. I sold those to him. He's going to keep the PCI wing also. And I'm going to actually ask him about the splitter. The splitter's already built for this car. It just has the PCI brackets. I'm going to see if maybe he wants to keep it, because I figure why not? Leave the flares on there. You already got the splitter, you got the wing. The car still looks the way it needs to look for like wanting a track car, and the exterior would be set still. Maybe throw some PCI skirts on there similar to the CRX, and anything else that he may want to do depending on his preference. So I got a little bit of a task ahead of me. Not too much though. These are all just the gauges from the supercharged hatch. I don't know if you guys had watched videos on that. I'm going to swap that over to the CRX. The conies, the front ones are back there. Just some other random parts. And we'll get started on that. Today I'm just going to, my goal is to just have the engine pulled today. get that removed, set aside, and start seeing what I need to do to put the ZC, and I might just be able to drop the ZC back into the chassis as well today. I'm going to talk to the new owner about motor mounts though. Maybe he'll want to go with some aftermarket innovative mounts, and I have some that I could sell to him that I'm not going to be using anytime in the near future, and I could just buy myself some new ones if needed. Now the hatch was hella cool. You know, it's rare you find SIs any longer. White ones, 90, at least in this area. Super cool, clean bodied. It's more cleaner than the CRX. But the CRX came about in February of 2019. We picked it up in Phoenix, about 7 hours from where I live, for only $1,800. It came with the B16. The JDM front end and headlights. It had those roto wheels on it, and those badass seats that are in my Y49 right now, like those European CRX seats. So price was super cheap. After getting it home, my dad and I talked, and he ended up splitting the cost with me. We went $900 each on it, and he wanted to race it. We were talking about it, so I put it together, some simple suspension mods, set of my old tires, and he joined us for about 3 events out there that year, 2019. So for me, this car just has a lot more sentimental value. I put a lot more time and effort into it this year, made it significantly faster with better mods, better tires, and it just means a lot more to me in terms of the vehicle. I don't care about if it's not as clean or the color of it's not original. Doesn't really mean anything to me. It's the fact that this car just has a lot more value in terms of just enjoyment for what it is. Like, it's a cool car we meant to buy and beat on, and the fact that he wanted to join me in one of my hobbies really meant a lot. And so I don't see myself partying with this car anytime soon. The fact that it's running well and it's quicker now, and it's just a ton of fun to drive. I'll probably end up just keeping this car for the foreseeable future and just enjoying it as it is and making some adjustments where I can. So I'm gonna get started, guys. If you want to follow along, please do so. We'll follow this car back to its road to the track. skip forward a little bit. I have essentially everything hooked up. Wiring harness, fuel line, radiator not yet. I think this radiator is a dud. The plastic, it just seems kind of dirty in there. I don't want to use it. I'm going to swap the radiator from my CRX over to here. That one's in much better shape. Exhaust manifold is hooked up, the header, but don't have a correct test pipe or piece to fit there. I might just take it to an exhaust shop once I have it running. Coilovers, axles, I think everything is hooked up. Got the battery mount back in, the lines, the wires I mean for the battery. I think this is done. I'm going to fill it with oil, plug the ECU in. I reverted it back to OBD0 using an OBD0 map. We put the resistor box back in. Of course, it has the OBD0 injectors, and yeah, fill it with oil, fill it with some transmission fluid. See if we can just get it cranked over and started briefly, and then we'll swap that radiator over and maybe we can get it warmed up. And there you just saw it running under its own power again. I was just testing it out. Everything seemed to be okay. Super excited to have this car running again, even if I'm not keeping it. I am selling this to a friend. I can't remember if I mentioned it earlier in this video, since I've been working on this car for the last 3 months. It had been close to 40 months, maybe like 39 months since this car had driven under its own power. It had been sitting. And so it's nice to see it up and running again. Did a lot of little things that I may have not explained earlier in the video, just new upper and lower radiator hoses. Just over the last day I had a chance to get out here. I didn't record it, but I put on a new throttle cable, brand new throttle cable. Picked up that because the B series one was too long and it didn't mount up to this position. It just had a lot of extra slack, and I had to move the bracket over to here, which didn't seem appropriate. Put on a new clutch cable as well. I think I had a DA one on there, and the engagement was going too far down. Found an intake off my old CRX, which is perfect. Fits this. It's actually made for an EF. So that fits here perfect. Everything else is essentially buttoned up. New oil, new transmission fluid. I got the header bolted up. I used, let me see, here it is. I used a test pipe I bought online. You can buy these for about $30. It fit perfectly with this single cam, I guess because it's made for, it's just a replacement for an original cat. So waiting on the axle, started leaking the seal for the transmission, started leaking some of the fluid out. So I'm actually waiting for the new owner to come over here today. Maybe you can see it here. Yeah, you can see where it's wet. It's dripping out right there. So it looks like the seal's maybe pushed in too far. I'm just going to replace it. Other than that, it's not leaking anything else that I've noticed so far. Granted, we haven't driven it. I'm going to work on the last bit of what I want to do. He asked me to remove the interior panels and the carpet, so we're going to pull that out, and I will get some Del Sol seats welded up in here for him along the way. May not have it in the video, but that's what we're going to put in here. And that is essentially it. Nothing else really left to complete. And I'm going to get started working on that and see if we can get it finished up in its entirety today. I've always been curious how much a carpet weighs. We're gonna put it on here. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this box on here. That way I won't be able to lay that flat on the scale. So I put the box on here and then turn it on. So it says 0. Obviously if I move the box, it's gonna go to the negatives. Negative 15, 4 pounds. Right here it says 0. Let's throw this carpet on top. I've always been just a little curious. 9.6 pounds for the carpet. So almost 10 pounds on just your carpet alone. Throw that off. It slides back down to the 0. Got all the interior panels removed. Threw the carpet away. Had some nasty like stains on this side, not necessarily stains, it was missing material, and it was just pretty rough to begin with, so I'm just gonna toss it. It looks like there's a bunch of little trash and garbage in here. I'll let Jaime clean that on his own time, but we got everything removed. The rear seat belts, the anchor mounts for the rear seat, I just took those off as well. I don't know if he's gonna want to remove the headliner and stuff, so I left the plastics around there for now because those help hold the headliner up. If I remove these rear ones, they're actually attached all the way to the front. The headliner will not stay up, so I'm gonna leave those up there for now. I'm not sure if he wants to potentially remove those. It's not too hard to do so, but got the interior finished up. Alright guys, so the hatch is completely finished now. I actually finished it a couple weeks back. Jaime took it to his house. We had put on a new clutch cable that I bought online, but this thing felt terrible. It just was like crunching. I don't know what the deal was. It fit fine, everything went in, but it was not feeling nice. So he came over today, installed the old DA cable I had. That one actually worked out really well. Put the splitter back on. I actually removed an inch off the front. I think the 3-inch splitter just looks a lot better. He's going to use the buddy clubs with some Falcons at the track now. I had removed all of the interior in the rear for him. We haven't cleaned it up yet, but something we'll do in the future. I installed the Sohc seats. He put on his personal wheel, and essentially it's good to go. We had the car lined 3 weeks ago, still using that straight pipe muffler that I had on there that cleared the diffuser, but it actually sounds pretty cool with the Sohc ZC in there. And he's going to use, we're leaving the PCI wing on there also, but it's ready to go. Should be a solid little track car, even with the Sohc ZC. Multi-point with the SI trans. We want to do a little more cleaning up in here. We plan on doing that together one day. Today's not that day. But that essentially wraps it up, guys. Hope you enjoyed seeing this car get put back together. Next video we make of it will be at the track, and hopefully it does well, he does well, and it survives his first track day out there. We'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.